Dear Derry, welcome to Wednesday. I didn't have to look. Well, I looked before I started recording. So I guess it's not really a cheat because I look at the clock all the time. I just happened to forget right before I start recording exactly what it is that I'm daying this on. So yesterday, those of you who missed my tweets, was it yesterday? Might have been yesterday. See, I can't remember what day it is when I'm doing anything. I went down to H&R Block to do my taxes, and it cost me like $116. But hey, I'm getting $1,700 back, so not a problem. I will pay them $116 to get $1,700. Fine. Last year when I did this, it was my tax return that enabled me to buy this, my sound gear stuff, because I made almost $3,000, in my tax returns last year. So, but the reason that my tax return was so big last year was because when I first started working at EA, when I was filling out my W-9, I think, whatever the tax form is that we Americans use when we first get hired by a company, I had told them to take out $50 from every paycheck, thinking that it was like the last time that I had been there, which the last time I had been there, I got paid every 2 weeks. This last time around, I get paid every week, and I hadn't considered that. So $50 out of every paycheck means that it's $200 a month getting taken out of my paycheck, applied towards my taxes. I realized this about halfway through, halfway through my employment period, because I worked from August to August, because I worked there for 1 year, and then contract's over, and then I got to go do other things for a while, like voice acting. So about halfway through this, I realized, wait a minute, oh crap, that's a lot of damn money. So I dialed it back to 25 per thing, and then I realized that's still a lot of money to be taking out of the thing. So then I dialed it down to $10 extra on top of whatever. For those of us in America, for those of you who are watching this in America, or if you're, whatever country you live in also has a similar tax, situation to what America does, you poor bastards. If you have the option to take out extra money, do it. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? It's not like you have the money in your hand and then they take it from you. It's money that's taken out before you, and $10 per paycheck, big deal. And remember, that's $10 more than what they're going to take for taxes anyway, because they've already got this estimation of what they think, your taxes are going to be. And so that's how much they take out. You add a little bit more on top of that, and it almost always guarantees that you're going to have, a return. And that's nice. I like that. I like that kind of security in my life, knowing that, come April, I will have money. I'm not going to do the money. Okay, maybe I am. So yeah, $1,700 coming in from that. Very happy. What am I going to do with it? Probably fix my car, and which we should be getting from the other house. Plans got a little bit munged this week, so we'll probably do it early next week. And then I'll fix it. However, and I think I told you guys about this letter from the unemployment department, which says, nope, your unemployment insurance is run out. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute, what? So I filed for an extension. I don't think there are any available. I seem to recall seeing that come through the mail at some point and saying, by the way, there are no extensions available if you filed after blah, 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 blah. But I filed for one anyway. Maybe I'll get one, maybe. If not, I've got $1,700 coming in. That'll sustain me for 2 or 3 months or so. In the meantime, you and I need to get busy. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Sorry, that probably sounded a bit Yeah, for you guys. This coming weekend is the weekend that my fine, go lay down there. Stupid voided check is the weekend that my credit union is having this car giveaway. I think I talked about this the last time they did this. They have like this pre-owned car thing where they encourage people to buy pre-owned cars and finance them through the whatever. But one of the things that they do to get people to come to the event is they have these giveaways where they have this car, which is a Mercedes C250, 2014 Mercedes C250. And, everybody who's a member of the credit union gets one of these little keys in the mail, and you go to the event and you put the key into the lockbox, and if it opens, and you win the car. The trick is, and a lot of people don't pay attention to this part because they open it and they just they keep this part and they throw the envelope away. It says very clearly right here, it says, bring your enclosed key and this envelope to our card thing. You know why? Because your name is on the envelope, thus proving that you are a member of the thing. Otherwise, you could just grab somebody's key out of the mail and go. Which should be mean. That's so mean for people to do that. Why would they do something like that? I don't understand. Let's see. We had the Into the Portal. No, we didn't. We had the Star Citizen podcast yesterday, and it went pretty well. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. We joke sometimes about how vapid our broadcasts are because we don't have anything to talk about. We're 4 guys, sometimes 6, sitting around talking about nothing because we didn't get any data from Cloud Imperium Games or whatever. This week, crazy levels of stuff coming out of there. We had the monthly report that they're going to start doing, which has just, even though it's a high level report, there's not a lot of little independent, little bits of niggling detail. It's a very high level, kind of broad, panoramic view of what each individual studio is doing. Even though it's not a granular report, there's still a tremendous amount of information in there. And because you have people who are on the forums, fans and supporters who are like, "What are you guys doing?" Because they get very upset because the guys, all they focus on is the fact that they're making the next great starship, they're making Jump Point magazine, they're making Wingman's Hangar, and they're like, "Why are you spending resources on this instead of making the game?" And it's like, okay, you are apparently a very short-sighted twit. The issue is not that they're not making the game. They are making the game. They're just doing this too. And while I do recognize what they're saying, it's like, well, if you weren't expending resources to make these, what I recently referred to as extracurricular, content, you could be expending that effort towards getting the dogfighting module out. Well, that is a very short-sighted and self-centered perspective to take, because I promise you, if you were working in that environment and you were trying to not only deal with making this game work, but assembling it, and then making it work the way that it's supposed to the level of quality that not only Chris Roberts, but the fans want, and deal with bitchy people on the forums, you would want to take a break from doing that too. I promise you. I promise you. So this monthly report actually goes a long way towards, giving the fans some kind of feedback of, here's what we're working on. It doesn't go to the individual grains of, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. Like I said, very high level, but it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. Now, the problem is that people are like, I don't want to read all that. It's like, well, you just shut up. It's like, there's some people, there is no pleasing them. And there is that point where you just kind of, you turn off the little circuit in your head that's paying attention to that particular person, because there is no pleasing them. You just let them sit there and complain. And when they say, why aren't you guys? It's like, well, here it is. It's like, well, I don't want to read that. Well, that is your problem. Well, who was it? It was it was in an episode of Farscape when Rigel gets captured. It's and the I don't know. I think his name might have been, no, it wasn't. Anyway, the guy in the next cell next to him, where Rigel's being held prisoner. Rigel's like, I've never heard of you, your race before, or your world, your empire, whatever. And this what he refers to, I think, as a multi-throated trout. Excuse me. He says, the imperfection is yours. I'm like, ooh, that's kind of mean. It's like, well, I can't be bothered to read all that. Well, the imperfection is yours. You wanted to know what we're doing? There's the answer. If you don't want to, if you can't be bothered to accept what you've asked for, bye. I've got better things to do, like make this game you keep bitching at me to make, I'm not jaded, having worked in the video game industry at all. No. Speaking of the other thing with CIG and Robert Space Industries, I think it was earlier today. No, it was yesterday. Right before we did the podcast. They released the Galactic Guide entry for the Tiber system, which is one of the ones I am most proud of my narrations for. So I will put a link to that down below, and I'm very happy with it. Someone on the thread on the forums had mentioned, and I know I've talked about this before, that AI don't need to breathe, so it would make more sense to cut out the breath sounds every time you hear me inhale between sentences and whatnot. And on the one hand, I completely agree. On the other hand, like I've said before, I would think that there would come a point in our development of AI that we would want them to be something that we can relate to enough that perhaps we would program in breath sounds so that it would make them seem more alive. Maybe not. But because of his suggestion, I went ahead and took the Tiber system thing and I edited out all of the sounds of inhalation so you couldn't hear them. And then I tightened everything up and got everything, the way I wanted it. And then that's what I posted. And there's been a lot of really good feedback on it, especially from that guy who was like, oh my God, I hadn't really considered how much extra work would go into this, having to go in and snip out all of these sections and then nudge everything back together so it still flows the way it's supposed to. Because if it's just silence everywhere there's an inhalation, it's just as bad as the inhalation being there. It's this break in the thing that sounds wrong if there's nothing there. If I'm doing like a narration of an audiobook, then it makes sense that you would hear me breathe. Which I'm also doing. I'm doing something for the guys from Sofanauts, which is Starship Sofa as well. Tony has asked me to narrate Alistair Baffle's Emporium of Wonders, and I started reading that today. It's a pretty cool little story. The two characters in the story are from Chicago. They're like 90-year-old, guys in an assisted living home from Chicago. And as I was recording parts of it today, I found that while I'm doing the non-dialogue portion, when I'm just in the prose, I'm speaking it just in my regular voice. But as soon as I get to the dialogue portions, all of a sudden these guys are from New York. They're not from Chicago. I'm like, what is going on here? I need to be more careful. I think this is one of the ones where I'm going to have to record all of the prose and then go back and record the dialogue separately, because I keep drifting into this New York accent, and it's like, no, they're from Chicago, they're not from New York. And this one's going to be a little bit more tricky, I think. Anyway, and then waiting to hear back from an author, E.G. Swift, Emma Swift. She wrote a story called Saga's Children. It's up for like a British science fiction award. Woo! It's been nominated, and we finally got permission for me to narrate it. And while I was reading through it, I realized that I don't know if it's pronounced Saga. It could be Sega. It could be. It's Scandinavian, so I don't know enough about the language to know exactly. There were a couple of names in there. It was what I presume is Saga. There was Per, P-E-R. Is it Per or is it Pear or is it something else? I don't know. And then there was Signy. It could be Signy. I'm pretty sure it's Signy, but it could be Signy. I'm not sure. And then the other one was, which I believe was also in the last story that I narrated for them, This Quiet Dust. There was, anyway, the name was, it's U-L-L-A. It's either Ula or Eula, and I'm not sure which it is. Anyway, so I'm waiting for Miss Swift to get back to me on how those are pronounced, and then I'll start narrating that one, recording that one for Starship Sofa. Huh? Craziness. Busy. And that's just the stuff that I'm doing for that. That doesn't include, because now I've got the Odin system from Starship, or from Star Citizen. I've got, I think it's Golem Tech for Star Citizen. And I've probably got another commercial to do for KTAM Radio. I've just everywhere. And that's on top of looking for work. I'm trying to contact Wicked Chicken to see if they'll hire me to do their radio spots. Sal, call me like you're watching this. Anyway, here we are at 16 minutes and 45-ish seconds or so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys go because I got stuff to do. And honestly, I'm hungry. I'm going to go get dinner. So I will talk to you guys probably tomorrow. Isn't it weird how that works? Until then, be careless.